India is a beautiful country known for many things: incredible food, stunning architecture, and fascinating ancient history, to name a few. But while it is most certainly a top destination spot, there are also a few places that you might want to stay away from. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Kennedy, and today on Most Amazing we are going to be counting down the top 10 terrifying places in India that are pure evil. So grab your favorite paranormal repellent and let's dive in. Starting us off at number 10, Bhangarh Fort. Built in 1573, the Bhangarh Fort is believed to have been built by ruler Raja Bhagwant Das for his youngest son Madhav Singh. However, while it was once a grand architectural marvel, it's now an abandoned site as well as one of the most haunted places in all of India. As the legend goes, the fort was cursed by a local sadhu. This sadhu lived within the fort area, and as the story goes, he insisted that any house built within the precinct of the fort should not be taller than his own. Moreover, he demanded that if the shadow of any such house, the fort included, fell on his house, he would curse it. And to this day, many believe he cast a curse on this very fort. However, that's not all. Another local legend tells of a black magician or evil saint who fell in love with a princess from the fort town and attempted to use a love potion to win her affection. However, the princess dodged his moves by flinging the potion onto a boulder, which then rolled down towards the magician, physically crushing him. But before taking his final breath, he cursed the fort, condemning it and everyone in it to destruction and desolation. Nowadays, while many visitors are free to travel to the haunted and spooky location during the day, there are strict rules and signs prohibiting visitors post-sundown, and many think it's because the evil souls come out at night looking for humans to terrify. So, I mean, visit at your own risk, but don't say I didn't warn you. Next up at number 9, the South Park Street Cemetery. If there is one place that is sure to be haunted, it's a cemetery. I mean, to be fair, it's quite literally filled with dead bodies, so that shouldn't come as a huge shock, but still, the South Park Street Cemetery is definitely one you don't want to mess with. Built in 1767, South Park Street Cemetery is one of the oldest in the country and was used for British officers and their families. However, despite the fact it's no longer actively used to bury the dead, it still contains many burials as well as many ghost stories. Those that have been claim to experience immediate dizziness as soon as they step onto the property, while some have actually fallen ill or even fainted while on the premises. But even that's not the worst of it. As legend has it, during monsoon, the Dennison family tomb is said to mysteriously ooze blood, and as such has been nicknamed the Bleeding Tomb, which is probably one of the creepiest things I could imagine. So unless you are looking to be haunted by one of the many British officers buried here, I'd steer clear. Coming in at number 8, Tunnel 33. Back in 1898, a British man named Colonel Barragh was assigned as the construction engineer for this tunnel. Now, this tunnel was under a strict time constraint building-wise, and so after some calculations, Barragh marked 2 ends of the mountain for the tunnel that he claimed would ultimately meet in the middle, forming a straight line. Following his calculations, he then ordered the laborers to begin boring holes in the mountain from either side. However, after weeks of back-breaking work, it became clear that there had been a miscalculation and that the 2 ends were not going to meet as expected. As punishment for the time wasted, the British government fired Barragh from the project before dumping a hefty fine on him, and of course all of this left him incredibly depressed. Not long after, feeling ashamed and humiliated, Barragh walked into the tunnel and took his own life, and ever since it's said that his ghost remains taunting all that try to pass. To this day, locals and railway officials avoid this failed tunnel at all costs, although the few that have gotten close say they felt a chill down their spine as soon as they approached it, and some even claim they've heard the terrifying sound of the colonel's last scream. Coming in at number 7, Bhuli Bhatiyari Ka Mahal. Located in Delhi, this lodge was built in the 14th century as a hunting lodge for the Sultan Firuz Shah Tughlaq and has been associated with the terrifying paranormal for almost just as long. As the legend goes, after finding out that one of his queens had been unfaithful and faithful, the Sultan decided to imprison her here until her death. Said to have died on these very grounds, those that visit claim to have seen her roaming around at night seeking revenge on the Sultan. But of course, as the Sultan is nowhere to be found, she's known to take her anger out on anyone who trespasses, sometimes scratching, pinching, or even biting anyone she wants gone. And to make matters worse, many have reported the sounds of her blood-curdling scream echoing through the walls. However, it's not just visitors that have been scared by the scorned queen. Apparently, there have also been numerous accounts of security guards quitting their jobs shortly after they are hired due to how many inexplicable and haunting incidents happen here every single night. Next up at number 6, Jamali Kamali Mosque and Tomb. Located in the archaeological complex of Marali in South Delhi, the Jamali Kamali Mosque and Tomb consists of 2 monuments, a mosque and the tombs of Jamali, a popular poet during the Lodi dynasty, and Kamali, his ultimately unknown but assumed lover. Today the monuments stand tall and have been beautifully maintained, but don't let the outward aesthetic fool you. They are said to be a terrifyingly haunted place to visit. Just about anyone that has dared to visit has reported getting an eerie feeling as soon as they walk through the area, while some claim to have seen strange lights or even frightening demonic apparitions across the grounds, which is terrifying enough in itself cause, you know, demons. But the scariest reports of all are the several visitors that claim they were physically slapped and shoved by an invisible entity, which, short of actually being possessed by a demon, is about as spooky as it gets. So unless you are looking to be attacked by an invisible entity, I would highly suggest skipping past this on your visit. Coming in at number 5, D'Souza Chawl. Widely considered to be one of the most haunted places in Mumbai, the D'Souza Chawl has garnered the attraction of many paranormal enthusiasts over the years thanks to the haunting legend that surrounds a nearby well. As the story goes, there once was a woman who, while filling up a bucket from the well, accidentally tripped and tragically plunged to her death. And ever since, the residents claim the area has been haunted by a ghost they call the Lady of the Well. The good news is that during the day, it seems you are safe from her wrath. However, it's said that at the strike of sundown, she will appear by the well crying out in pain. But whatever you do, don't be fooled by the old woman's pleas, as many believe that her screams are merely a ruse, and that if you get too close to the Lady of the Well, she may just push you down to spend eternity haunting the place with her. So, with that in mind, if you are really hell-bent on taking a look, do yourself a favor and just visit while the sun's out. Next up at number 4, Khairatabad Science College. Although the college has been deserted for quite some time, once upon a time these walls were home to many young aspiring biologists, and along with the program were understandably some dead bodies for the biology lab. However, sadly, the building fell to ruin, and with it, the building was abandoned and the science program was over. Now, at the time that all of this was happening, the government wanted to make sure that the distraught building did not become a hotspot for criminals, and so they deployed 2 guards to keep the public away. However, prior to abandoning the building, it said that staff did not dispose of the dead bodies properly, and as such, cursed the building to be haunted for the rest of eternity. The next day, one of the guards was found dead on the property with a horrified look plastered across his face, and many believe he was literally scared to death by the ghosts that haunt the college. Coming in at number 3, Kuldhara. Once upon a time, the village of Kuldhara was booming with residents, but these days it's considered as one of the most haunted locations in India. And of course, just like any good ghost town, it's got a good ghost story to match. According to the legend, Kuldhara village was once home to a very wealthy community of people called the Paliwal Brahmins. However, among them was also a minister and ruler named Salim Singh. Now, legend has it that Singh had fallen in love with one of the villagers' daughters. Let's just say she wasn't exactly an appropriate choice as far as the Paliwals were concerned. This pushback didn't seem to deter the ruler, who then told his guards to fetch her at once from the village using any force necessary. But when the guards arrived at the village, the Polyball convinced them to return in the morning, and that they would hand over the girl then. However, when the guards returned in the morning, the entire village was gone. It said the villagers escaped in the night, leaving nothing behind but a curse on the village, and it has remained abandoned ever since. Today, it's said to be haunted by the ghost of the evil sultan, and some locals even claim that merely stepping on the property can curse you for eternity. Coming in at number 2, Chandan Nagar. Located in the Pune district, Chandan Nagar is a small area with a dark backstory that has produced a ghost so terrifying it would probably frighten even the biggest paranormal enthusiast. Now, if horror movies have taught me anything over the years, it's that small little girl ghosts should be highly feared. And that is exactly what we are dealing with here. You see, years ago it's said a young girl was tragically killed at a nearby construction site, and it's believed that ever since that fateful day she has remained haunting the area, wreaking havoc and terrifying anyone she comes into contact with. Described as a young girl with black eyes in a blood-stained white frock, the ghost of the girl is said to show herself at the strike of midnight, holding a doll and skipping across the area. That is until she catches a glimpse of an intruder, and as if straight out of my nightmares, her smile will quickly turn sour and she will charge directly at you, screaming like a banshee. And if that doesn't frighten you, apparently residents in the area are so afraid of the girl that many refuse to leave their houses after dusk in fear that they could come face to face with the terrifying entity. And last up in our number 1 spot, Mukesh Mills. Located in what is now Mumbai, the Mukesh Mills were first established in the 1870s, and for many years it remained the only mill in South Bombay. Fast forward a few years to 1975, and this property was entirely renovated. However, shortly after, in 1982, there was a disastrous fire that ultimately shut down the mills forever. Ever since, the property became known as a deserted ghost town. That was until it caught the eye of the film industry, and directors began using the eerie and abandoned lot to film horror movies. But much to their surprise, there were much scarier things going on at the old desecrated mills than their horror movie. Cast and crew quickly began experiencing paranormal activity, and the reputation attached to the property has become so terrifying that allegedly several actors refused to ever shoot at this mill again. One of the most infamous incidents that took place was when a female actor was shooting and suddenly stopped everything for turning to look at the crew and warning them to leave in a guttural and manly voice. While another is about a young girl who was on set who began behaving strangely out of nowhere. She began moving her body in a weird way before she fell to the floor and started rolling around with her hands turned backwards, as if being possessed. Now, what is it that haunts these grounds that is so hell-bent on possessing trespassers? Many believe it's the ghost of a man who died in the 1982 fire, while others claim it's an evil demon. But whatever it is, you can bet I will never be going near it. Well, there you have it, friends. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below and let me know in the comments the most haunted places you've ever been to. I'll see you next time.